But on a more serious note, I read that, by the way, and it was hilarious. I had to ask you. On a more serious note, though, so you started learning design and doing all these things, and what led from you learning these skills to saying, screw it, I'm going to start my own business, whether it's a design business or leave the map, which we're going to get into a little later on. Like, what was that
Yeah.
transition like?
Yeah. So I was working at a dental company as their graphic designer, and I was in Chatsworth, California. If anyone knows that area, it's pretty bleh. And a windowless office. I was just totally miserable. The people I was working with were pretty cool, but I was working on boring dental
Mm-hmm.
design material and always having to revise stuff and just never being able to go outside, never being able to do anything creative and different. And I just started to feel like I was losing a huge part of myself and losing all the things that make me happy. And so during any time I had a little bit of free time or lunch breaks, I would make kind of the Photoshop composites that
Mm-hmm.
I've become known for. I started just editing stuff that I would find on stock and then
Mm-hmm.
mixing some of my photography and started playing with that. And so many people responded positively to it that I was like, okay, this is kind of working. Let's see where it goes. And I started getting a couple clients. And then people were like, how did you do this? How did you make these composites? How did you grow your Instagram so fast? And that's when I was like, okay, ding, 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 I'm going to teach people how to do this. And I remember I quit my job and then launched my first course right
Mm-hmm.
afterwards. And we moved apartments and
And you
we
were
got
married to James
married.
at the you were
Uh,
you were engaged at this point.
we were
Yeah.
engaged, yeah. And so I quit my job in February. We had all these things lined up, and then we got married in September. So it was
Wow.
like a year of major life
That's
changes on
incredible.
top of starting a business.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a lot, but it was really this moment of I'm so unhappy. I need something else.
Yeah, and you know what? It seems like you have a very strong support system consisting of James, your husband, your family. I
Yes.
imagine that helps in making those incredible, life-changing decisions because as someone who didn't have such a strong system, it can make it more difficult. I'm sure you had some level of stress when you were making these decisions, but do you remember, like, what was that final straw that said, screw it, I'm just going to go for it?
Yeah, that's a great question. And yes, I am very lucky. I have the most incredible support system. Like I'm so blessed in that way, from friends to family to James. And so that was really great, but I think it was just I had planned to be at this job for maybe a year or so at
Mm-hmm.
this dental company. I ended up being there for 3 years, and things were just kind of slowly starting to fall apart there within the company. The jobs I was getting or the designs I was working on were getting more and more boring, like
Mm-hmm.
these
Yeah.
charts and stuff. And I can't remember exactly what the straw was that broke the camel's back as much as it was just all these little things leading up. I finally started to have a little bit of an income tipping point that helped too. I
Mm-hmm.
started
Mm-hmm.
to be making enough to feel like I could quit. But one of the things that I remember so fondly from that moment was I kind of toyed with the idea with my boss, and I said, hey, look, I'm thinking about quitting. I'm gonna put my month notice in because they wanted a month from me, and I just need to go out on my own. And he was so upset by it that he said, and he was like around retirement age, and he said,
Mm-hmm.
if you're quitting, I'm quitting.
Wow.
And so we ended up quitting at the
That's so
same time.
funny.
And I think in talking to him about it and then him saying that, that was one of those like, okay, I can do this. It's time.
Right.